Good morning, good morning, good morning. I got my green smoothie. I got my workout in. I am super pumped for Thursday. As you can see, I am in my home office, which is awesome, but I'm also learning, which is if something works, continue doing it, right? So when I travel, I've used this laptop to do my lives, never had an issue, never had a problem. And then I come back in the office, and last week, you probably remember this, I tried to go in and do live from the office, and all the equipment just didn't want to cooperate. So you always want to hire really, really smart people. And my amazing social media person was like, Eric, if you have a system that works, why not keep using it? And I'm like, that's really good advice. So I'm super excited to be with you. We got some great questions. I saw a few of them. They are awesome. I did a little preview before we got started. So gotta love. Good morning, Eric. No intention of beating Vic, right? Hey, little competition is good, right? I'm always a little competitive. I joke when I go to the gym. It's the weirdest thing because I'm starting to do some cardio, right? I'm bulking up, but want to work on this a little bit. So getting some cardio in. And I notice when I go on a treadmill or Stairmaster, nobody goes on next to me. Right? It's almost like this voodoo thing where it's like avoid it. So I started asking people like, Eric, we know how you roll. If we get on next to you, whatever speed we do, you're going to look at the speed and you're going to go one higher. And you're either going to make sure we get off first, or we're going to be taking you to the hospital, and we don't want to do either of those, right? So it's sort of, yeah, I got a little competitive spirit in me, but that's all good. It's all good. It's all fun, and it's really all about competing against yourself, right? My whole philosophy is: are you doing better than you did yesterday? Are you doing better than you did a week ago? Are you doing better than you did a month ago? Where I'm different than a lot of folks is, if I have an off day, well, maybe I have a couple of those Twinkies. Yeah, Twinkies are my weaknesses, or some extra donuts or butt cakes or things like that. I don't get mad. I'm actually cool. Why? I set such a low bar. It makes it easy for me to beat it tomorrow, right? So you always got to keep that positive attitude. So let's jump in. You're not here just for me to rant a little bit. You're here to answer some questions. So let's get into that. Uh, from Vika. So would introverts make good CISOs? I find it easy to give a talk, but hard to network one-on-one. I'm not bad at conversing, though. Any tips for either changing or working around this personality trait? I'm going to share something with you that shocks a lot of people. In the realm that most of you have seen me and know me, if I ask you to classify me as an extrovert or an introvert, almost without fail, everybody says extrovert, extrovert, extrovert. I will tell you, my true being is an introvert, right? I love having Eric time, right? I love being by myself and just being alone and all that. So I am actually a natural introvert. I'm just like you. I shock people, but I say if I have to go on stage or do a live or keynotes, I love that because I'm connecting, I'm sharing my expertise, I'm helping people. I love helping people. That's sort of one of my gifts is I really want to help and share knowledge. So I'm in my mojo. I'm in my element. I'm loving life. But at a lot of these events, they want you to go to the evening party or the cocktail hour or this or that, and they want you to mingle with the attendees, right? Because you're the keynote and people want to talk to you and ask you questions. I will be honest with you. A lot of times I either don't show or I do what I call the walk and run, which is you walk in so enough people see you, right? The people hosting it see you, smile at you. You go around the room, you get out the next door, and you run to that elevator and hope nobody sees you, right? Like I said, I'm just being honest with you here, right? I know it's being recorded, but you got to be a real and authentic on these things. That's actually what I do a lot of the times. For me to stay for 2 or 3 hours and do that one-on-one is very, very stressful and intense for me. So it's one of those, and the reason I'm sharing that is it's not whether you're naturally introvert or extrovert. You can learn any skill. And the trick is by being comfortable at doing it. If you do something enough and you get coaching, you get better at it. So, what you want to look at is not introvert, extrovert, but what are the skills that you would not naturally have if you're an introvert or an extrovert? And what do you need to learn in order to be a world class CISO? And by the way, I'm going to correct you. A good CISO, anybody these days can be a good CISO, right? Because there's such a desperate need. So I don't care about good CISO, I care about world class. So you can learn those skills. So presenting to a board, those are skills you need. Speaking business, those are skills you need. Probably a little bit of the one-on-one, because you do have to have one-on-one meetings and interact at a small level at a board. And you're typically going to have to go to dinners at board meetings and things like that. So you're going to have to learn those skills. But yeah, you absolutely can make a great CISO. So my tips and tricks is do a self-assessment. What are the 2 or 3 skills that you need to be a world-class CISO? And then practice and put yourself in that environment. Like I said, the cocktail party one where you have like a 500 to 1,000 people, that's not really a CISO skill, right? It's one you need more for keynotes than you do for CISO. So it's not really going to be on the CISO. But what you do need is business meetings, going out to dinner with 6 to 8 people and being able to converse and have a conversation. So that, what I did to get better at that is anyone I know who's in business or runs businesses or any friends, twice a week, I would just set up business meetings. And you just do it. And you get better at it and you learn. You go, okay, that meeting was awkward because neither one of us had anything to say for 30 minutes. So what do I do now? I do some research and I memorize 4 or 5 questions that you can go in to use as an icebreaker to go in and communicate and talk. Or you start thinking of, okay, what are interesting topics that people might want to talk about? And you learn and build that skill. Now, going to dinner meetings is very comfortable. Right? Once again, it's not my natural state, but it's something I am comfortable with because I've done it over and over again. The other big tip or trick is awareness. I know that my natural state when I'm traveling and I have meetings all day long is to go back to my hotel room and have Eric time. That will be my natural state. That will be my preferred state. I do some DoorDash. Right? If it's a really good meeting, I love my shellfish and steak. Right? So I'll get a little Wagyu and some lobster, whatever's available, depending on the city I'm in, and just go back, no TV, and just sort of be with Eric. Right? But that's my natural, normal state. So I recognize that I'm aware of that, which means when I'm with clients, I need to force business meetings. So what do? I have my EA set up business meetings. When I'm traveling to a client, I have her reach out and say, hey, would anyone like to have dinner with Eric? Would anyone like to go in? So now I'm forcing those meetings to occur to overcome that. So it's just an awareness and just practice, practice, practice. But yeah, this idea that only extroverts or only introverts make good positions is BS, because you just need to know your natural state and you can learn and get around it. What is the strategic way of convincing a company they need a CISO? Find a senior level advocate. My personal favorite works 9 times out of 10, probably works 99 times out of 100, is chief legal counsel. Chief legal counsel, their job is to keep the company out of trouble. Their job is to go in and make sure that the company and the executives don't cause problems or issues. Cybersecurity is probably the number one area of concern or problems. So you want to go in and find an advocate. Go and work with chief legal counsel. Just keep talking about the importance of having a CISO and why that's needed and why that role is critical. Other thing, perform the job before you have the title. That's one of my other magical tricks. If your company doesn't have a CISO, become the CISO. Right now, today, at 9:40 a.m. East Coast Standard Time at November 3rd, 2022. I hereby anoint you, and the powers granted to me by Eric of the CISO gods. I now anoint you CISO of your company. Who cares if you have the title? Who cares if you have the pay? Don't worry about that. Play the role. When you play the role, you get the title. So it's okay to ask, but the problem I find, and I hear this feedback, is you have all these folks running around going, I want to be CISO, I want to be CISO, I want to be CISO. And the execs are like, but you're not. You're saying it, but your actions are saying something different. Your actions are telling me that you want to be a security engineer. So start behaving and acting. Start offering to give presentations. Start going in. Oh, but Eric, I can't do that. Really? So you think if you work with HR and you start giving a presentation to the business, everyone in the business on cybersecurity awareness, you really think they're going to fire you for that? And if you propose to give a presentation to the executive team, 15 minutes on cyber threats to the organization and what we need to do to address it. Worst case, they say no, but they're not going to fire you for it. Offer to present to the board of directors. Once again, not going to fire you for that. So start playing the role, get an advocate, and just sit back and watch the magic happen. Right? That's really the big key there. Don't worry about, the problem is so many people worry about pay. The pay will always come if you're world class. Prove to them that you are world class, and then let everything else just fall into place. And then last piece of advice, be persistent. Now, persistent, not obnoxious. But what I mean by persistent is, I had somebody go, Eric, I've asked to present to the board of directors, and they just say they won't let me do it. They said no. And I said, how many times did you ask? And they're like, once. I'm like, how long ago was that? Like 5 months ago. I'm like, really? Did they even laugh because they know where I'm going? Why not every week? And here's how you play it. Hey, I know there's an up and coming board of directors meetings. Cybersecurity, I know, is a hot topic. Could you check with the board and see if they would be interested in having me present for 10 minutes on cybersecurity? And then here's what's going to typically happen. Eric, we don't have any time in the agenda because it's very tight. Great. Do you have a lunch break? Could I potentially just do an optional 10 minutes during lunch? Or if the meeting starts at 10 o'clock, could you just do an optional cybersecurity at 9:45? Nobody has to show up, but just offer it as an optional session if anyone who wants to come 10 minutes early. And then if they go, Eric, neither of those are options, great, every week. Hey, I just wanted to check, has there been any cancellations? Has there been any options there? And then next week, hey, I know you said the agenda's full, but could you maybe check with the board of directors and just see if they would be interested in having that topic? And what's going to happen is most likely either they're going to actually ask the board and the board's going to say yes, or they're going to get so tired of dealing with you. They're going to be like, he just or she just wants 10 minutes. Just give it to them, right? Just make this person go away, right? So friendly courtesy. Notice how I was nice and kind, but always proposing options, right? But be very persistent. All right, so I was waiting for you, Vic. There's my buenos dias, right? I need my buenos dias each morning. Checking in from Atlanta. Love it, love it, love it. And Vic's got a question too. So what do you think the way is to network with people in the industry currently? This is interesting because we're sort of in this weird transition where we're going from virtual life because of whatever happened 2 years ago. I don't even like saying it. All right. But whatever happened 2 years ago to now we're sort of transitioning where more and more people are now starting to get back into things in areas like that. So I'm going to give you the hybrid answer, but over time, it's going to be more the latter than the former. But right now, today, one great way is social media. Start following people and reaching out on social media. Just say, hey, so your content looks really interesting. Here's the best way. Simple, simple, simple. I just want to see if there's anything I can do to help you. If there's anything I can do to assist you. I will tell you, I get folks all the time that reach out of the blue. And the ones that are asking a lot, typically those get filtered. And we do help people, but right, you can't give everything away for free. But the ones that come say, hey, Eric, following your content, I have a pretty good following. I want to see what can I do to help you. And what I always say is, hey, can you promote my life of a CISO to your followers? Can you just do a post saying, hey, make sure you check out Dr. Cole's Life of a CISO, 9 a.m. on Thursday, 9:30 live. And then I'll actually check and see. And if they actually do it, right, then I'm like, okay, this person's sincere and really wants to help. And then you sort of continue the conversation from there. So reach out to people that are similar or where you want to be. I usually call it one level up, where 1 or 2 levels up from where you're at. If that's where you'd like to be in 6 months, just reach out and say, hey, what can I do to help you? What can I do to assist you? The other thing that's great, it's a little risky, but I find out it does work pretty good, is just say, hey, I live in Atlanta, and Thursday I'm going to Uncle Julio's and I want to host an informal security get-together. Would anyone like to join me? First round of drinks on me, right? Would anyone like to come out? And just sort of open it up. I do that when I travel a lot. I'm like, hey, I'm in San Diego this week. Would anyone like to sync up at the Grand Hyatt and grab a drink after work? And just start pushing it out there. Then the final piece is start attending the conferences that have the people that you want to meet and network with. And many of those conferences, they do set up chat groups before. So everybody or anybody who's attending that event is in a chat group. So then same thing. Hey, I'm coming in a day early. I know the event starts Tuesday and there's events and things in the evening. Would anyone like to grab dinner on Monday night? Or, hey, anyone free for lunch on Tuesday? Once again, you're not looking for everyone. You're just looking for a small group. And here's the most important piece. Who cares if everyone ignores you? Keep doing it. Eventually, you'll find people that are playing at your level and you'll be able to go in and connect with them. So the trick is just reach out and offer to help. What can I do to help you? What can I do to assist you? What's most important to you? That's how you build networking, not by asking for favors. That will come later, right? But by asking how you can help or assist the individual. A lot of people take credit for this quote. I give credit to Brian Tracy, but a lot of people have claimed it wasn't him. But I give Brian Tracy credit. The best way to get what you want is to help other people get what they want. So when you're networking, it's all about how can I help somebody else get or accomplish what they want or what they need. So we got Zach. Automated pen testing tools are becoming more sophisticated. What are your thoughts of pen testing becoming a career of the past? Oh, dude, man, you want me to get hate mail? You want me to go in? The 2 areas that I get like people to actually threaten my life is when I talk about the role of CIOs diminishing and reporting to CISOs, right? Security shouldn't report to a CIO. The CIO should report to the CISO. A lot of CIOs don't like me. And the second one is what you just said there, where pen testing is sort of a thing of the past. Yeah, so I tend to think that there's always room for world class. So if you want to be niche, world class, you can. I know some friends of mine, they're doing very well in pen testing. They have a niche market. They're lower price, but they go for volume. And they're selling their pen test 10, 12K, and they're doing pretty good, right? So you can always survive if you're very, very niche. But the problem is it's getting less and less blue ocean and more and more red ocean. If you're not familiar with that, blue ocean is where there's really no competitors. You can essentially charge what you want, and there's really not a lot of competitors. To me, great example of blue ocean are world-class restaurants or steakhouses, right? There's really no competition. Their prices are off the wall, but because they have such a great, unique product, people will show up. Red ocean are dry cleaners. They're on every corner, 99 cents a shirt, right? You're not going to open up a dry cleaner and charge $20 a shirt. It's not a premium service. So it's getting very, very, very competitive. That's to me where pen testing is. Super competitive. You're competing a lot with automated tools. And honestly, what I'm hearing from clients is they'd rather that, because right now, pen testing done by humans is done one of two ways. Either they're running standard tools that are looking for missing patches. I mean, really, most vulnerabilities, right, in a pen test, you're not doing zero-day exploitation here, are really just being discovered by missing patches. So one style of pen test is just seeing if your systems are patched. You don't really need to pay for that. The second style of pen test is what I call super ninja tricks, where the pen tester has one or two special, unique ninja tricks that they can get into 80% of organizations with. It's a very unique way to get in. It's not really one used by a lot of attackers. It requires a lot of setup scenarios, access, and others, but nonetheless, it works. So they go in and they do their special ninja tricks and they write the report going, yeah, this issue, but it doesn't really map to practicality. To me, utilizing those automated tools are a better, more sophisticated way of doing it. So yes, I personally, if I was giving you advice, I would not give you advice to go into pen testing. And if you're a professional pen tester, I would urge you to move into network architecture, cloud security, or one of those other areas that are still going to be are going to be growing and still sort of blue ocean for this foreseeable future. So we got world class, love it. Sorry, I meant last week I was actually with a client on East Coast time. So last week we didn't actually do it, but I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago I had technical problems on it, but we got it figured out. And I looked at my schedule and we're green light to the end of the year. Here's the question I have for you, because we're debating this with my team. Do we do a live Life of a CISO on Thanksgiving, right? November, whatever the date is, US. I know we have a lot of folks outside the US, but November 24th, because I'm sort of like, yeah, why not? Well, why not? Before the parade, before you eat way too much turkey or watch football, why can't we do it? And my team's like, no one's going to do that. No one's going to do that. So you get to informally vote right now in the window. Should we have a Life of a CISO live on November 24th? Better question is, would you attend, right? Would you attend, or should we give everyone sort of the week off for Thanksgiving and just sort of keep rocking and rolling on that front? So we'll let you vote and see what goes on. All right, where'd my questions go? Is IT a subset of information security? If yes, how? To my understanding, IT generates or carries data by being a data custodian, and security people have to safeguard this information. Once again, lots of opinions on this. You get mine. So what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is understanding, managing, and mitigating the risk of your critical data being disclosed, altered, or denied access. The 3 areas of security are looking at risk of your critical data across confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality is making sure you prevent, detect, deter the unauthorized disclosure of information. Integrity, prevent, detect, deter the unauthorized alteration of information. And availability is prevent, detect, deter the unauthorized denial of access to information. Right? That's really the focus areas. So now let's step back. What is IT? Well, what is the metric? If you're a CIO, if you work in IT, you have a metric which is typically 4 or 5 nines. 99.999% uptime availability. That's what you get weighed on. That's what you get assessed on. That's what you get bonused on. That's what you get paid on. If you're a CIO, if you meet the metric, you're good. Money flows from the heavens. Champagne runs freely across the streets and red carpets roll under your feet. If you don't meet that metric, it doesn't happen. You probably lose your job or you lose your bonus. So it is very, very clear that IT is all about uptime availability, making sure the data, the pipes, the servers, and the systems are available when and where you need it. Sounds like that ability, right? I mean, we're using the name in the description of it. So IT is the A in CIA. So if that's the case, wouldn't it make sense that the CIO reports to the CISO? Because the CISO has confidentiality. So your chief data officer would report to the CISO. Integrity, your chief assurance officer would report to the CISO. CIO availability, your CIO would report to the CISO. So to me, if we're logically looking at how it's broken up and how it's structured, why wouldn't you have your CIO report to the CISO? It just logically makes sense. So we have Joseph. Good morning from Chicago. All right. Dr. E, what would you consider a payment plan for your 6-month CISO program and want to take the course? I'm going to defer that to one of my great team members because honestly, I deliver the content, I do the coaching. I don't have all the details of the payment plans. We do have payment plans for our CISO certification. Also, just so you know, we are in the current process of raising the price, right? We've had the same price for 18 months. So that price is going to be going up. But if you act like this week, if you go in and reach out to my sales team, either go ecole@secure-anchor.com and my assistant will forward it to one of our sales folks. Or if any of my team members are here, if you can just go in and put the email address to set up a meeting or the calendar link to set up a call with our folks. But I'll tell you, if you want to get the best deal, you really want to sign up this week, right? Because I'm not supposed to say this, right? But I'm giving my team some leeway because we're in the middle of transitioning price. And if we have people that are serious, that really want to play that want to be world class and aren't going to waste my time, I want to get them into the program. And we have the call coming up next week. So we do have a deadline there. So if this is something you are serious about and you want to play full out, my team will work with you. We will figure out a way to make it work for you and give you the best possible option out there. So just make sure, like I said, today, tomorrow, don't wait till next week, because once the new price locks in, ship has sailed. So you just want to make sure you get with them. Like I said, easiest way, ECOLE at secure-anchor.com. Just say, hey, I want to buy the course or I'm interested in it. And one of my team members will get back in touch with you very, very quick to make that happen. Dr. E, I'd like to ask your opinions of 2 different roles. I'm currently 5 years into cyber and experience in GRC and red teaming. BISO role of well-established fund management company or head of security of a tech startup. Web3, blockchain, et cetera, which you think is more suitable for my current profile? What do you enjoy to do? I mean, this question is really asking me on, do you want a Bentley or an Aston Martin? I mean, they're different cars, right? One is more of a luxury and one is more of a sports car, right? Neither one is bad, right? Neither one is a bad car or automobile, but it's like you're asking me almost personal preferences here. So I would say, what do you enjoy to do? What is really your passion? I will tell you the BISO role of a well-established fund management company. If you want to stay and become a world-class CISO and you want to work for others, that's probably your better option. I mean, that's really a resume builder there. So if you're telling me, Eric, at least for the next 10 or 15 years, I want to work for large corporations, I want to become a CISO for a Fortune 50 company, then hands down, the fund management is the way to go. I mean, that's established, large company. You're going to get the credentials, you're going to get the exposure, you're going to get the focus that you really need. Now, on the other hand, if you got a little more of the entrepreneurial DNA in your system, and you'd rather eventually start your own company doing vCISO or other services or consulting or things like that, then probably going in and doing the head of security is going to be a little better because it's a startup. It's going to be a little more technical focused, but in a startup, you're going to be a lot more involved in business funding, revenue, and all those factors. Because I'll tell you right now, if you're in a startup, I don't care what title you have, there's no overhead. Like, you're going to have to generate revenue. You're going to have to figure out how to generate revenue. You're going to have to figure out how to do sales. So a lot of the hardcore skills that you're going to need if you eventually want to start up your own company, you're going to get with a startup. So that would really be my advice for you is, where do you see yourself in 10 years? World-class CISO, go for the first one. Entrepreneur, running a vCISO or running your own security practice, then go with the startup. How do we measure the performance of cybersecurity or information security to present to senior management or board of directors, or even to evaluate the performance of CISO? Metrics, and I'm assuming you want specific. So I'll give you a couple here, but this is a long topic too. Look up, because I actually spent 30 minutes on one of our Life of a CISOs, I don't remember which episode, actually going through security metrics. The easiest, simplest starting point is you want to raise awareness. So to me, the best way to measure performance is show them what you're doing. Show them everything you're blocking. Because here's the problem. With a lot of board of directors and executives, they think that no news means you did nothing. And this is the biggest risk in cybersecurity. If you are really, really good at stopping, detecting, and dealing with attacks against the organization, the executives and board of directors feel and see minimal pain or minimal impact. So they're sitting there going, wait a second, we've been paying millions of dollars and we have 10 people doing cyber, and we've had no issues or no problems for 9 months. Why are we wasting money on that? It's like, no, the reason why you didn't have problems or issues is because you spent all the money and energy on that, but they don't always see it that way. So they're like, well, there's no problem here. So if we didn't spend the money, we wouldn't have had issues anyway. So first and foremost, you need to change that. So my first and favorite metric, number of attempted attacks a week against the organization. How many times is somebody trying to break in and they're not successful, which means go to the scoreboard, ching, 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 security wins. So you basically want to show them the scoreboard, because most executives and board of directors, when they look at the scoreboard, they give you 0. And when an attacker breaks in or they get hit with a ransomware, they put points on for the attacker. So it looks like the attacker is winning and security is losing. You need to put points on the scoreboard. So quick and easy way. Look at the number of drop packets in your firewall. Is it a drop packet an attempted attack? It is, right? So if a drop packet is an attempted attack and you stop it, then you've stopped an attack. Otherwise, you would have allowed it in. Now, I know some hardcore techie people like argue, stop. We're not looking for perfection here, right? Don't start telling me, well, we're looking for basic metrics. Take the drop packets in the firewall Send it to your executives and say, this week, we had 40,000 attempted attacks against the organization that we successfully defended against. That's going to raise awareness. That's going to put points on the scoreboard. Then the more advanced metric is how many times did attackers break in and how long did it take to detect them? So now you're saying, okay, we've had 10 people break in last month and we detected them in 50 minutes. This month we had 8 people break in and we detected them in 30 minutes. Now that metric is very, very powerful, but I will warn you, it's for mature organizations only because it requires you have that data. Most companies don't. And it requires that you're willing to have the mature conversation that attacks are going to happen. I know there's still some security people. No, we can't tell the executives that we've had a breach. Why? It's the reality, right? So you want to be able to have those open, honest conversations, but those are sort of the extremes, the starting point metric, the awareness, and then that more mature metric at the end. I'm having trouble getting a seat at the table. I can join senior level meetings to present on a topic of interest, but not allowed to stay beyond that. How do I change that behavior? Show value. Once again, you've given me 2 sentences and I'm going to draw conclusions. They might be right, they might be wrong. But what I'm reading when you're telling me that is they don't view you as somebody who can add value to the business. They don't view you as a true chief. They're viewing you more as a technical person that can provide limited advice in certain areas. So they're going to basically let you come, give you a little spiel, and say bye-bye. You have to show them that you can provide value in other areas. You got to show them that you can talk business, not technical. It's done 2 ways. The next time you present at a senior level meeting, talk much more about the business and much more about how you can help and assist the business. Also, between those meetings, the people that are at those meetings, set up one-on-ones with them and ask them, how can I help you? I know you're rolling out some new business systems, or I know you're doing X, Y, or Z. I just want to see, how can I help you from a security standpoint? Is there anything I can do to assist or help you on that front? Build up credentials with the other business leaders. And then what will happen is when you're in that meeting and you present and they say, okay, Eric, you can leave. One of the other business leaders is going to say, wait a second. On my topic, Eric's really been helping me, and I think he could add some value. Is there any chance Eric could stay? Right? And then all of a sudden you start to say, so you have to change how you're showing up, change what you're discussing, go up to a higher level of business, and then build individual relationships with every one of those senior leaders that are in that room. And then they're going to ask you to stay, as opposed to you saying, why can't I stay, and being kicked out. As a new CISO, how much time should be spent on creating policies and standards? If I'm taking this literally, new CISO, which means brand spanking new. If you are a brand spanking new CISO, your first 60 to 90 days, depending on how big the organization is, but your first couple of months or first quarter should be all about understanding the business. The biggest mistake that new CISOs make is they come in and they have this little bit of the ego where they want to change everything, right? A little bit of the devil went down to Georgia type. They're like, I'm in here, I'm a new sheriff in town, and I'm going to change. I'm going to show you how to do security correctly. And you end up creating chaos, confusion, and frustrating everyone around you because you never took the time to understand what is currently being done. Now, yes, maybe if you were there a year ago, you would have done it differently. That doesn't mean it was wrong. You need to be open to understanding what was done and what was there, and then prioritization. What is the current biggest risk to the organization that you should focus on immediately? What should be the next? What should be the next? So it's hard to specifically answer that because I don't know the organization. Typically, though, I will tell you, creating policies and standards might not be the top priority. Now, if you're in an organization that needs to be compliant with GDPR or other regulations, and you have no policies or procedures and nothing is documented, then heck yeah, that might be the top priority. But two things as a new CISO that I want to really implant in you. One is understand the organization, and two, prioritize. What are the areas that are the biggest risk or biggest exposure that you need to focus your energy and effort on? I am a CISO and I work for the federal government. Should I transact to the private sector? What are you trying to accomplish? Right? What's your goals in life? Where do you want to go? If you tell me, Eric, my sole goal and purpose in life is to be a CISO at a Fortune 50 company in the private sector, then yeah, at some point you might want to transition over. But I will tell you, the government pays less, but you get more training and more experience. So the couple of questions I would ask is, how long have you been with the federal government? What department are you CISO for? And how quick could you move up to a bigger organization within the government? So I'll give a couple scenarios here. If you've told me you've been at the government for 15 years and you're CISO at whatever organization, but in a year, you could be eligible to be CISO of one of the large departments like Department of Treasury or Department of Justice or Department of Transportation, I'd say probably stay. Also, if you're eligible for a pension in 20 years and you're there 15, then once again, why not stay, get more credentials, be a CISO of one of the top departments, get your pension, and then move to private sector. If you've been there 6 or 7 years, I'd say maybe do a few more years, get some more training. 8 to 10 years is about the sweet spot for experience, and then move to the private sector. The bottom line is you're going to move to the private sector at some point, right? Unless you're telling me you're a Supreme Court justice, right? Where typically they stay for life, right? Or a judge, which you're not telling me that. Most people that work for the government typically at some point will transition to the private sector. The question you need to figure out is when. So I would just look at those data points. If you're telling me, Eric, I'm an CISO at this company, I'm maxed out. I will not get promoted. I will not be eligible for a CISO anywhere else. I've been there 6 years. I would say, okay, is there some additional training you can take? And then I'd say transition in a year or two. So I've given you sort of the different scenarios there. So the question isn't should you, but when. How can you maximize the value of being in the public sector? And then when is the right time to transition? Have you thought about offering the content and lessons from the CISO CERT program without the knowledge transfer or group coaching? Yeah. I guess where I'm puzzled is that's sort of the program. So have you thought about saying the CISO program with? So basically, the CISO program is there's a group coaching component, there's a knowledge transfer component, and then there's a private peer group. So if you're saying go in without the knowledge transfer and without the group coaching, then it's really just just a private peer group piece, which each of those we do have. But by the way, if you just want to go in and just do knowledge transfer, just do group coaching, or if you want to split the program, where you want to go in and just do half knowledge transfer and 3 months of group coaching instead of 6, we do that too. So depending on what you're looking for, Vic, we do have a lot of different options. So the short answer is yes, we've thought about different offerings. If there's one that we haven't, present it to us and we'll see if it makes sense. But once again, great opportunity to reach out to either me or someone on my team and find out this week. Because like I said, if you're world class and you're going to be serious and you're not going to waste my time, we would love to have you in the program. We would love to have you join us. So easiest way is just ecall at secure-anchor.com. My assistant will grab those, or I'll grab them and we'll forward them to the right people. We're also out of time, so I think we got to most of the questions. But remember, come early, first come, first serve, right? So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Live with Dr. E. Thank you so much for joining me. And we'll see everyone next week at 9:30, and have an amazing, amazing week. And like I said, we are doing some price changes on the CISO cert. So if you want to get in, this is the week to do it. So today, go and send an email and let's get you hooked up. Let's give you the options and let's see if it makes sense to get you in that program. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you all next week.